All right, there we go. Okay. We are now officially not only on the radio, we also are officially simulcasting to Facebook. And we also, every week now, are uploading to YouTube. So I have a podcast on YouTube. You just type in Robert Sidell. Thank you, Karen. My beautiful wife just brought me something here. So anytime you want to get through and hear this show, other than you could go back to Facebook later on. Excuse me, I got to get the mic in the right place here. You can go back to Facebook later on, or you can go to YouTube and type in Gateway Podcast Sidell, and guess what? You'll get there. Hey, Debbie, how you doing? And by the way, Debbie, I always appreciate the little messages you send me every day. So just want you to know that's very nice of you. So tonight, I just want you to know I want you to be open to the idea that we can co-create some magic and wonder and joy in our lives. And I want to just be open to that idea that right now, whatever's going on in your and my life, we can start right this second and open ourselves to grace and happiness and fulfillment in ways beyond what we might have ever thought was possible. So hold on one second. I'm just pulling something up here so I can get my notes here. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So I'm always amazed by the technology of this world. Here I can sit here doing this show to you. It's simulcasting out on Facebook. It's also going out over the radio in the number one talk station in Las Vegas. And you're getting a chance to hear it by radio. I know there's some people listen every week on the radio. And then also those of you that are also listening on Facebook. A lot of people listen on that. And also now people are going back and seeing it on the podcast on YouTube. Just type in Sidell Gateway Podcast. And guess what? It'll pull it up and you can watch shows that have been uploaded to it. So I welcome you to the show tonight. Before I go any further tonight, I want to just put on a little bit of music and do a guided meditation. Hey, James, it's good to see you there. It's good to see you. Each of you, by the way, you may know this or you may not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Your presence blesses me. So this is a conviction I have very deeply in my life that the world that we live in can be infinitely better than we ever dreamed of when we human beings realize we hold the key to bless and lift each other up. And the day that we start doing that, the day that we start sending love to each other, consciously and intentionally, and choosing to lift people up instead of pushing them down, that will be the day that this world starts to turn into a heaven on earth. Now, the only person I can control is me, and even that's not always a sure deal, but we can start in our lives, wherever we are. And you can start living with more love in your heart, more grace in your heart, and start in your own life exactly where you are. And that's all I think any of us can do. But that's a great place to start. It's always possible. I'll give you a little example from me out of my life, just a small example today. Hey, Janet, how you doing? I had to go out to Lake Las Vegas today. Actually, it was very pretty. I hadn't been out there for a long time. It's a very pretty community out there. I mean, I went out to one of the hotels out there, and then we kind of went around and had a little lunch in a place out there, and it was nice. It was a combination of a bunch of different things. I went to my wife and my son, and it was just a lot of fun. But as I was walking along, I saw this lady who's had this African American woman had this very, very colorful outfit. It almost looked like it was from Africa. And then also she had this beautiful hair, and then all these different colors and everything. So I went over and said, wow, your hair is fantastic. And she goes, I said, so is that hard to do? It's so funny. She goes, well, not really. She goes, I buy it. But the fun part is, and I just said, and that dress is really pretty. And here's the thing I want to say about that. What did that take me? 30 seconds or so? And then led to a little bit of a conversation. It turns out she was actually visiting from France, and she was visiting a guy that lived here but she was from France. And that little interaction to her was able to lift her up. And suddenly she obviously took the trouble to put on a colorful outfit and had her hair all made up in an unusual kind of colorful way. And by just acknowledging her, that made her life better and lifted her up. And that's so effortless and easy to do. It doesn't cost anything. It just takes a few seconds. And here's what I want to say about that. It's a funny thing about life. People, wherever you go, you'll see people that have spent quite a bit of time and attention fixing themselves up to go out in public, in one sense or another. It could be at Costco, it could be anywhere. And for me, today was at Lake Las Vegas where I saw this lady. But just by making a simple little comment to her, started to brighten her day, and she was so grateful. And then, of course, I like to add what I like to do on top of it. That's my little thing. I think I might have one still in here. I always like to give people a copy of my Expect a Miracle card, which I think I gave out my last one today, so I can't show it to you. But the bottom line is that by doing that, it becomes now she'll have a little bit of an experience. Oh, here it is right here. I'll show you right here. Now she'll have an experience when she goes back to France. She'll have this little experience that she remembered, something positive. Expect a miracle. And so you don't have to do that extra thing. That happens to be something I like to do. But the bottom line, though, is that by just talking to her, acknowledging this colorful outfit she's wearing, acknowledging her hair, it suddenly could lit her up as a person. And I think what most of us don't realize is that everywhere you go, there are people with those same things. People might have some very creative earrings on, or a nice necklace, so people put all these things on it. You put all these different things on it, and on every day, and they spend a lot of time and attention. And the reason why people do that is that, well, they're trying to make a nice presentation of themselves and feel good in themselves, but they also want to be acknowledged on some level or another. But the irony of it is that most people don't say a thing. Probably 98% of people say nothing whatsoever. So here's a little key for all of you if you want to live a happier, more successful life. It's just a simple, easy little key that'll produce dividends of success that you could never imagine. If you just say something acknowledging a person sincerely, without asking for something in return, guess what's going to happen? You're going to set out spirals of goodness in your life and happiness, and suddenly you're going to start to live in a life that is a much more fulfilling, happy life. And then it's going to start to come back to you in all sorts of ways. And the funny part about it is, by just acknowledging a person, I'll give you another. Well, I could give lots of examples like this, but the point is, if you start don't take the people in your world for granted, and you realize that person, just like you, got out of bed today and had to make a decision. How am I going to dress? What am I going to do? How am I going to present myself? And what do I want to do? They may not use those words, but a lot of people spend a lot of time and energy. They really do. I mean, in this one day, I probably interacted with at least 4 different people in this same way, and each person was liked it, got a smile on their face, and we're excited. So, talk about a simple, easy way to both make your life better, make somebody else's life better, and if you really want to be honest about it, serve God. Guess what? There couldn't be something simpler. And here's where it's really kind of almost silly to think about it. I mean, so there's all these people that spend quite a bit of time to assemble an outfit. Sometimes people have all sorts of matching things, matching shoes, whatever. I mean, I see it all the time. And I'll give you one other example. You just reminded me. And this one I wish I had said, but I didn't say anything. This one woman I saw walking, and she had these really beautiful kind of shoes that had these kind of fun straps that went up the side of her leg. And in this case, it just didn't work for me to say something. But you know what? When people spend time doing that, that's something that seems like magic to them. And so you know what? All these little things people are doing, their earrings, whatever, they're doing it to make themselves feel better, and also hopefully get some feedback from other people. So if you want to start to improve people's lives, just make a difference. And by the way, I don't just do this with women. I met this nice Filipino man today who was there with his cousin, and could find out a little bit about him. And as I have a lot of Filipino clients, and we started visiting, again, all out at Lake Las Vegas, and he's telling me about what kind of work he does and all these different things like this. You can, wherever you are, people are waiting to be discovered. And the vast majority of people are walking along in a bubble, and they don't go out of their bubble, and other people don't enter their bubble. And what I'm telling you, I first learned this secret back in my late 20s, and I've really been kind of doing it ever since then. If you're willing to just be, and people don't mind it, not only that, they love it, if you're sincere, you're not trying to come on to them, and you're not trying to get something from them. And they get that figured out real quickly. And then when they do, they're almost always lifted up. They're almost always lifted up. And it's a divine world, and you never know in that moment. You'd be surprised how often when I give people my Expect a Miracle card, people will say, gosh, I really need that. Thank you so much. Oh, or something like, oh, that's a great idea. I love that. Because the bottom line is, everybody's in this world and facing different issues, and everybody wants some hope and help and encouragement. So you can be a source of encouragement and hope and happiness. I'll tell you something, a funny thing. My friend Andy always tells me this, and it's true. When I go to Costco, these ladies that give out, it's usually ladies, not always ladies, samples. Sometimes I go there just for the fun of it to get some samples. I'm sure some of you do too, that belong to Costco or Sam's Club for that matter. But I saw a lady yesterday. She goes, "Hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you for a while." And two things happen. One is, I've obviously made a difference to them. That's good. And then the second thing that happens is they often give me something extra, which I'm not even really expecting. So the more you give in life, you will inevitably start to get more on every single level, receive more. So this is Robert Sidell. You're listening to The Gateway Show. We're going to go to a break right now on the radio, but I'll continue on Facebook. And I'm talking tonight about don't wait, live your dream now. It's like how to share your love. But anyway, that's what I'm going to be focusing on this show, launching you and me and every one of us into a new beginning right now. Go into a break. Be back in just a moment. So Leroy says, I've been thinking about my mistakes in life and realized that they are just learning experiences. Leroy, absolutely 100% true. As a matter of fact, the people that are successful make more mistakes. And that's not just my opinion. That's a common realization. People that are successful make more mistakes than the average person. And I'm a pretty successful person on a lot of different levels, but I can also tell you that I've made lots and lots and lots of mistakes. Hey, Ernie, good to see you. So here's the thing about life. As I look back at my life, there's a few mistakes I've made that, were pretty painful mistakes. And in the big picture of life, it would have been nice if I didn't have to include those in my life. But even those mistakes, it's taken me a while to gain some insight on this. But the reality is those were because I was reaching for my dreams. And it's like every other part of our life, or like Thomas Edison talked about, he says that when he's made a mistake, or when he tried something that didn't work, like whether it's for the light bulb or anything else, he doesn't look at it as a mistake. He just looks at it as just another step towards his success. So to him, failure was just a step on the way to success. And so I'll say this to you, Leroy. First off, I heard the Dalai Lama say something once, which he says, if you want to live an absolutely safe life, you could put a person in a padded room and just have food handed into the room. Okay, so that person's getting food, imagine this, in a padded room, a nice soft padded room. There might be some days that might not feel so bad at certain moments, but the reality of it for most of us is that would be horrible. It might be good for 10 minutes or something, or even a day, but the bottom line is that we become who we are as we engage with this world, as we engage with this world and reach for our dreams. We encounter reversals, but we also encounter successes. We grow, we become better. We learn more about life. We gain more empathy, more compassion. So that's the journey of life. That's not a mistake. That's the gift of life. And it's when people try to get too safe that their lives start to shut down. When people try to get too safe is when life starts to shut down. When it starts to lack meaning. That's why some people, I'm not saying everybody, in fact, I'd like to think it's not true of most people, but some people when they retire, they're not as happy as they think because they aren't necessarily pushing themselves up against the limits of life anymore. But there are lots of people that do. And I have a brother, for example, that retired, actually a lot younger than I am now, and he's always kept growing and learning. So I think you can definitely do it for sure. But whoever you are, you got to keep reaching for dreams. And no matter who you are, as you reach for those dreams, you're going to have some reversals. It's true of everybody. Okay, we're coming back in the radio right now. Here we go. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure to be with you here tonight on the Gateway Show on the #1 talk station in Las Vegas, and also simulcasting on Facebook, and also available on YouTube anytime if you want to go back. I'm trying to get every show in there now that I do, so there's not a huge backlog in there, but that I'm trying to get every show I'm doing now on there, and you can go back and listen to it any time for some encouragement during the week. And that's what this show is all about, my friends. It's encouragement. It's reminding you that where you are is good. Here's a message I have for you tonight. Tonight's message is all about this. Don't wait. Live your dream now. You know, while we were out there in Lake Las Vegas, my wife mentioned to me that she saw a Pedigo shop, which is a kind of electric bicycle store. And as it turns out, I actually got a couple Pedigo bikes a few years ago, electric bikes. Well, interestingly enough, and it was kind of poignant to me, the guy I got them from, his first name was Howard, and he was in his 80s, and it was funny because here this guy was, and he had another business because he and I became friends, and I talked to him a fair amount, and he sold that business, and his retirement project was to run this bicycle store, selling electric bicycles, and he had a huge place. I mean, way bigger than it needed to be. It was over in a commercial complex over in the Henderson area, and it was huge, and I went over there a number of times for various reasons, got to know him kind of well, and got these bikes. So today, my wife says, hey, there's a Pedigo store right here out in Lake Las Vegas. Oh, well, that's kind of fun. But then she told me the next word. She goes, yeah, Howard, that guy died. And so that's why that particular store is no longer there, because he had this huge shop, really bigger than he did. There's still Pedigo stores out there, but they're just not, it's not the same building that it used to be in. But it just was a reminder to me that we don't have forever on this earth. This guy lived his life fully to the end of his life. He would go in there and, he'd show you the bikes, and he was in his 80s and he had a whole staff working for him, and he had all these little services they offered, and he did a good job. And I think, as a matter of fact, I believe at least physically, it was the largest Pedigo dealership in the United States. I don't know in terms of volume of bicycles sold, but it probably was pretty good that way too. And, he happened to catch the whole bicycle boom, which happened during COVID. Some of you may or may not know that, but COVID actually created a bicycle boom. Suddenly that you couldn't get enough bicycles. No bicycle store could, including Howard's store, the Pedigo store. But my point is, so I discovered, hey, he died. That story's over. But you know what? So here's what I want to say to each of you. Your story, you have a limited number of days on this earth too. And that's not a negative thing to realize. I personally don't believe that's a mistake about life. Maybe the timing of things are mistakes. It seem like mistakes to us sometimes. But because we only live so many days on this earth, and it's part two, because we don't know how many days it's going to be, guess what? It makes every single day precious. So that's why I'm doing this message to you. My friend Howard, he died. That big Pedigo store is gone now. Now there's another store that they sold it off. It's family, I guess, and so somebody else opened it at the same exact dealership, but just a different place, but it's also out there. Hey Jonelle, nice to see you on there. I think we're going to come and see what's his name, your favorite entertainer. It'll come back to me in a second. But anyway, but the bottom line is, when I was out there today, I realized everything we see around us is always changing. Everything is always changing for all of us. And you know what? If we don't take action, we're going to miss out on life. Let's see here. Yeah, Barry Manilow. That's what I was going to say. I know, Jonah, I'm probably going to come and see Barry Manilow again. And that's fun. She works out there at Las Vegas Hilton. And so I know she loves him when he comes too. And that's fun. But I think my wife and I are going to go see him again, because I know he's coming out there again in the next few weeks. But so, my friends, everything you see around you, the opportunities that are around you, don't last forever. The chance to love people and be kind and compassionate, it's not going to always be there. You know, one of the things I do with my clients, the other thing I do with my clients, and also people I know, friends, I like to hug people. So I'm one of those huggers. But I do try. It's something I've tried to. I actually try to be honoring of people's personal space too. So what I do now is I simply say, "Would you like a hug?" Uh, just to make sure I'm not intruding on somebody's space. And 98% of the time, people say, "Sure," bam, they're getting a hug. And you know what? Everybody always is happier and become friends. And so I'll give you an example of how that works in my law office. So there was a nice lady that came in on Friday, and we were paying her out on a case. So she walks in the door, and she has this huge, she's Filipino, and this huge tray of steaming hot food, great Filipino food. And so suddenly our whole office has a fun meal unexpectedly. And before I even did any of that, she just opens up her arms for a hug. And that's what you and I can do. And don't miss out on this experience of life. Don't miss out on. Don't be afraid. I mean, who are you? As you get older, as I getting older, I mean, I'm 71 now. What are we afraid of? You know, why not be who you are as fully as you can be? Why not share as much love, as much adobo? Leroy's saying adobo. I'm not sure I know what adobo is, but I've probably eaten it, but I just didn't know the name of it. But so why not share as much love as you can? Why go to your grave? Why go to the end of this life without having shared the love that's in your heart? And why live in constant fear of rejection? And that's we all have to work that through a little bit. I mean, it's a gradual experience for me, but I've been gradually transcending that in my life. I don't claim I'm over it, but I have a lot of fun with my clients, which seems hard to believe as a personal injury attorney, but I still have a lot. We have a lot of fun. I mean, it like I said, it seems, and I try to take advantage of opportunities. And so we had some clients. We had a client that was in a nasty accident down here in Las Vegas, but their family lived up in Washington State. So my son and I got on an airplane and flew up to Washington State because we wanted to find out what's really going on with this guy, because it was a serious accident. We went up and had a fun visit up there. Beautiful weather. Leroy probably is. Adobo probably is. Like I said, I don't know all the names of their food, but Leroy's. But the point I want to say is, that's an example where I've got to know people better. We had a fun time. My son and I went up there to visit. I had another case earlier this year where there was I'm not going to go into details, but a bad accident up in northern Nevada. And so my son and I drove up there, and we actually spent the night one night in Tonopah during the middle of winter in the snow, in this old hotel, and it's right in Tonopah, and the Mitzpah Hotel, Mitzpah. And you know what? It turned a negative into a positive for us, and it created a story and an experience and adventure. And I'll tell you, again, I'll come back to this simple notion of how to make your life richer. Everywhere you go, there are people waiting to be discovered. They're waiting to be opened up by you, to have you help them come out of that bubble of isolation. And all you have to do, I'm thinking of some fun, really nice people I met in Tonopah when I was up there. It's always, Mitzpah. It sounds like Leroy's been there. It is fun. I really enjoyed it. I read later on, supposedly it's haunted. Well, anyway, I don't care about that, but it's in some books like that. But it was built in like 1910. So it's been there over 100 years. And they've remodeled it quite nicely now. But this is a little tiny town. If you've never been to Mitzpah, if you've never been to Tonopah, my friends, if you want to get to see old Nevada, it's an old mining town, and kind of see a tiny, tiny town with a lot of little buildings that were built around like 75 to 100 years ago. I mean, and everybody knows each other in that town. It's funny. I mean, it is one small town, and you're a long ways from anything in Tonopah. I got to tell you, it's a funny thing. I mean, I'm talking about a long ways. There's no Costco. I think they have one supermarket there, and even the supermarket is small, and everything's small there, and just a few restaurants too. There's a little tiny casino there, which is fun, actually. We had a nice breakfast there called the Stagecoach Casino. But what I'm really trying to say, though, is you go to this little town, you're like being on a desert island. You're probably 3 hours at least to any more major civilization. And in fact, it may even be more than that, maybe more like 4 hours. And that's basically coming to Vegas if you want to go to a Costco or something like that, where you have some choices. So here you are in this little tiny Tonopah town. It's like settlers used to live in 100 years or 200 years ago. And it was a fun experience for us. It enriched our lives. Why? And this is one of the things I've talked about. The topic tonight that I'm talking about is don't wait, live your dream now. But one of the key principles I have on that journey is say yes to opportunities. And so when we had this accident to investigate up in northern Nevada, my son and I drove up there to do it. And we actually took experts with us too and everything else. So it was a major project, to, good 24 hours up there. But the point I'm getting at is that in the process, our lives were enriched. In fact, I have to tell you something funny. I went into a casino in Beatty. I think there's one casino there too. And I went into the casino in Beatty. And for the first time in many years, I actually played a hand of blackjack and won some money. So it was fun. I mean, I just won. And I think in my second hand, I won money. And I took the money, put it in my pocket and left. But the point is, I hadn't had that experience in just this little tiny casino in Beatty, Nevada. And that's, if you haven't been up there, that's a fun little town too. So if you leave Las Vegas and you're in another world in Nevada. It's one of the lowest populated states in the United States, the ratio of population. And so once you leave Las Vegas, this bubble that we're in down here, you're suddenly out in the middle of nowhere most of the time. Just huge, big open expanses and mountains and covered with snow when I went up in the winter. So by saying yes to that opportunity, instead of maybe me farming it out to somebody else, I enriched my life. By saying yes to different opportunities. Another example I'll give you. Oops, got to go to a break. This is Robert Sidell. You're listening to The Gateway Show, and it's on the #1 talk station. We're simulcasting on Facebook, and you can also find the Gateway Podcast on YouTube. Also, just type in Gateway Podcast Sidell, Sidell. Be back in a moment. We're going to a break. This is Robert Sidell. So here's what I want to say. You want to have a good life? You want to get to the end of your life and not have a lot of regrets? Start saying yes to the opportunities of your life. Start saying yes to the gifts of your life, to the people in your life. Start opening up the people around you with love and joy. Start hugging people more if that's your thing. Maybe it isn't. Who knows? But I mean, start noticing the beauty and majesty of people around you. Start opening yourself to the opportunities that are all around you. Start remembering that where you are is opportunity. There's always opportunity around. There's always opportunity around. And a lot of times our logical brain might say, oh, I don't need to do this. Why should I bother doing that? But you know what? When you say yes, it starts to open you up. And next thing you know, when you say yes to something, I went to a nice meeting just the other day. It's called the Christian Businessman's Group. Or it's actually, I guess it's called the Christian Business Network now. And by the way, I think there's about 50% women there now. But it's now down at the Ahern. If any of you ever want to go, let me know. They meet once a month. It's a lot of fun. One of my friends who have actually interviewed on this radio station before, Robin Joyce, is the one who kind of manages it, the whole thing. He's the one in charge. And it's a lot of fun. And he had a great speaker there this week, a couple great speakers. And it's going to be a great one next month, too. If you have any interest in it at all, just text me or call my office, and I'll give you the details, and you can come to the next meeting. And you'll enjoy it. It'll expand your life. I'm a big believer in networking because you know what? When you go to a meeting like that, suddenly you never know who you're going to sit next to, and then suddenly your doors open up. I sat next to a nice young lady, and she told me about some other groups that sounded very interesting that I would probably enjoy going to, and suddenly my world will expand. And that's how I became successful when I came to Vegas, when I didn't know one person here. Just networking, saying yes, visualizing success, speaking success, creating success, opening your heart to success. And that's what we all have to do, my friends. And every day is a new beginning, a new adventure. When I woke up this morning, I had no idea I'd be in Lake Las Vegas. And later on, my wife and I made a spontaneous decision, and because her sister wanted to go to see that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding #3, the third one, and we went and saw that today also. And You know what? I enjoyed that. It was fun. It was a fun, light, happy movie. So if you want to see some scenery of Greece too, it's also a good place. Um, there you go, Andy. There you go, Andy. Say yes to opportunities, experiences you might never get to experience otherwise. Absolutely. And I want to stress that to all of you. There's a world all around you, a world of adventure, a world of adventure, of excitement, of romance, of love. But you won't find it if you don't step out of your comfort zone. All right, here we come, back on the radio. Good evening, my friends. This is Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure to be here with you tonight, and on the Gateway Show on lives every Sunday evening, 6 to 7 p.m. It's always fun for me to do it. I'm absolutely convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that whatever I say to you is what God wants me to hear from me. So thank you for being there as an audience to get me to focus in my mind. Plus, on top of it, it's more than that, actually. There's a synergy. And when I'm doing the show, I feel your presence. I really do. It helps lift me up, opens doorways in my own consciousness, fills me with joy. So you're blessing me on multiple levels. And as I say every week, I'm going to say it again. This world can become a heaven if we reach out to enough people in love. And when we, as human beings, even just take a city of Las Vegas, if we started to realize that the people around us, no matter what they might look like, hold a key in their heart to sharing love. And if those people realize they can share it, a kind of divine love, and started sharing it more broadly, then the world we are walking in could become like infinitely, wonderfully happier. And guess who it's up to? Us. You know, we pray to God a lot. For those of us that believe in God, we pray in God a lot. And I personally accept the grace of Jesus Christ, and I accept His grace every day. I need His grace, I accept it. But I also honor everybody no matter what their path is. Because I feel like whatever God is, God can love you wherever you are in your journey of life. So I try to honor everybody wherever they're at. That's just my particular approach. But so for each of us, every day, if you want to start saying yes to life, and here's what you're really saying is yes to God. You're saying yes to this magical experience we're in. I want you to think about that right now. You're surrounded by a divine and miraculous experience. Now, you may not see it that way. It may not seem like that. But what if you could start opening your eyes, or your eyes got opened to see? What did Jesus say? Let those who have eyes see, and let those who have ears hear. And what was He trying to say? What was He telling us? He said so many different things. But one of the things He said is, you can do greater things than me. He says, you could make a mountain move to the sea if you had enough faith. And he says, you could do greater things than I did and have done. He says, you have to pray, you have to have faith, and you have to forgive the people you have judgments against. And that may be the hardest part of the puzzle for some of us. But the bottom line is, the quicker we can forgive, and the quicker we can reach beyond people's differences. Right now in our country, there's a lot of polarity. You know, I'm right, you're wrong type of thing. And we all have our own points of view. I think everybody does. There's very few people that really just have no opinions about anything. And that's okay. But we can still love other people, even if they don't agree with us, even if they have a different political perspective, let's say, or a different religious perspective. We get a completely different religion and completely different political perspective, and we can still love the person. Because all of those things are on the surface, believe it or not. But beyond that, you can have the spark of love in your heart. And when you begin to meet people and see them as living instruments of God. I had somebody come into my office this week. I won't give the details exactly, but this guy is a priest at a very beautiful institution, and he came in with some of his family members, and I was very honored that he would be brought. He came to see me, and I was very happy about that. And it was a magical moment for me, and a nice act of confidence in his friend that brought him into our office. And so wherever he doesn't practice my faith per se, but I could extend to him love and grace and respect, and share that love, grace, and respect, and out of it turned into a victorious, happy experience. So you want to get to the end of your life and say, I had a wild, crazy, exciting, beautiful, magnificent journey on this earth? Or do you want to say, gosh, I was just too scared. I couldn't say hi to anybody,
Couldn't talk to anybody. I never found love. I mean, look, I don't condemn anybody even a slight bit for sometimes it's not easy to find love, but I want to tell you the real issue if you want to find love. I'll tell you the real issue. You've just got to open your heart and share love with people. You start sharing love with people, you're going to find love. Next thing you know, more love's going to come to you than you know what to do with. And you start saying yes to opportunities. Say yes to networking groups. Say yes to adventures. Say yes to good things. Say yes to meeting people. Say yes to new classes. Say yes to invitations as much as you can. You're not going to say yes to everyone. You just can't do that. But say yes to invitations. The people of your life are a gift. If we're bored or frustrated in our lives, it's because we're not saying yes enough. Now, in my book, The Gateway, I'll show you a picture of it right here. I do have a whole chapter on the power of saying yes. But I will tell you, in the revised version I showed you, I do have a section at the end of that that says when to obey a no also. And so sometimes you don't want to say yes. Sometimes you got to also say no. Sometimes it takes a lot of discretion to know when to say no, and not also to ever say everything in your mind to people all the time either. You have to have discretion of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense at any given moment. There's just so many examples that I could give. But the bottom line is, you want to have a magical life? You want to have an adventuresome life? You want to have a life that's better than going to Disneyland? You know, Disneyland, I like Disneyland. As a matter of fact, we've been going down there this year a number of times. And I've always liked Disneyland, and Walt Disney's always been one of my heroes. But the thing I want to say about that, and in fact, he was big on believing and following your dreams. That's his big thing. He said success is a progressive realization of a dream. But the thing is, this life ultimately is more of an adventure than Disneyland. Every day is a divine Disneyland. Now, that may seem like an exaggeration, especially if you're facing some challenges or difficulties. But I'm going to tell you, and I've faced those lots of times too. But here's what I want to share with you. It doesn't matter what you do. You may say, well, yeah, you don't know what my job is or whatever. And I know there's lots of frustrating jobs. There's lots of jobs that are not intrinsically exciting. To be honest with you, my job is not necessarily intrinsically exciting. Dealing with people who have been injured in cases. I mean, it's probably more interesting than some jobs because I hear a lot of different stories all the time. But sometimes it's stressful, sometimes it's difficult, sometimes, I have to constantly be trying to figure it out and stay on top of things. But you know how to make it happy? Share love for the people that come in. Share love with your employees. Have fun. See the magic of life. And so if you have a job that involves people, you can have joy. If you have a job that involves people, you can know joy wherever you are. And as far as I know, I guess everybody has jobs that involve people. Everybody does. Because even if you're sitting working out of your home, you're getting on a phone and talking to people. You can have fun. You can have fun. I try to get to know the adjusters on the cases I'm working on, insurance cases. And I know them well. I know when women's had a child, and when I just talked to a woman a couple weeks ago that she's 6 months pregnant. And I was telling her, hey, my daughter-in-law is even more pregnant than that. And so we started talking all about it and different steps and things that she can do because it's her first child. Does that relate to my case? No, not at all. But who said you have to always just talk about your case? And when you talk about people as human beings, guess what? You make a difference in their lives. Have you ever called and gotten support, whether it be in the Philippines or in India? Sometimes we almost all have at some point or another, or even Mexico, or actually more likely Colombia or Nicaragua or something. I've gotten some people there lately. You know what? You talk to those people. I talked to a lady in India one time when I was getting support and started talking to her a little more. And I mentioned there's something about expecting miracles or this or that, being positive to her. Now, you know what? She told me that I made her day and really turned her day around. That's what you and I can do for each other in life. And that's somebody on the other side of the world talking on a support call. So you see, the secret is for you and I to realize it's possible all the time. You want to have a magical life? You want to have a life that's a life when you get to the end of your life, you can say, this has been a life well lived? Then reach out in love. Reach out and support to people. Try to find out something about the people you're dealing with. Find out their stories. People got a lot of stories. I mean, that's the one thing there's no shortage of is stories. But what you can do is be supportive of people in all these stories. Give them some encouragement. So I want you to, here's an idea. So I'm going to say this. Say yes to life. Share love as much as you can. Learn to love people beyond their differences. And if you're ever facing despair in your life, for any reason, and it's easy for any of us to feel that. I felt deep despair a few times in my life. But if you're ever feeling despair, here's what I want to tell you. If you can remember that God is with you wherever you are, guess what? And despair is always a function of thinking that what you're facing is beyond God. It's always a function of that. And if you can say in your heart, thy will be done, not mine. And if you can truly trust God, guess what? Where you are, the magic and wonder of God will be. And if you can recognize that the magic and wonder of God is right where you are right now in your life, if it's right for you, guess what? If you want to be in a romantic relationship, just start saying yes to life, reaching out in love and kindness, and it will come to you at the right time in the right way. If that's what you're looking for, maybe you're not. Sometimes it'll come anyway. But the bottom line is, you have to see that God's infinite power is present with you right now, wherever you are. And it's when you forget that, then you feel lonely and lost and forgotten. And then at that moment, life can seem like a point of despair. But if you just come back and say, okay, I just remembered, God is with me right now. God's closer to me than my own breath. And God wants me to thrive, succeed, prosper, and be successful. If you can know those things, then you know what? That's all you have to know. And open your heart to God's infinite will. And say, God, what is your infinite will for me? What do you want for me? Can you say that with sincerity in your life? What, God, do you want for me in this day of life? And let your heart be open to that. And let the infinite power of God's love begin to surround you and enfold you and bless you. This is Robert Sidell. This is the Gateway Show. We're going to go to a break. When I come back, I'm going to have Reverend Ernie and the amazing Reverend Ernie and Janet. Both of them with us. It's Robert Sidell. Stick with me on Facebook. So, my friends, say yes to life. Don't get to the end of your life and say, gosh, I sure wish I had blank, blank, blank. I mean, we all have some regrets. I mean, regrets are a normal and innocent part of life. And they usually are a sign of, but there's two kinds of regret. You can have a regret that you did something that didn't turn out right. Well, that happens sometimes. There's no person that's been successful in this world that hasn't made lots and lots and lots of mistakes, period. That's just without exception. If you look at SpaceX with Elon Musk and talk about a successful industry, but they were within a very short time of going bankrupt because one of his big, huge spaceships blew up. I think it was just in the last year. I remember watching it. And he said that was like the last of their revenue, and maybe it was 2 years ago, whatever it was. But I remember watching it, and it just blew up right on the. And some people were speculating it was conspiracy. Who knows? Who has any idea? But the bottom line is it blew up. That must have stung a little bit, right? If you're Elon Musk, that could sting. You know, people. It's not like anybody's ever handed him success on a plate. He's had to risk and risk and risk and risk. You may like him, you may not like him. You may like some of his opinions, you may not. But if you want to be successful in life, honor people like him or Zuckerberg or any of these different people that have been successful, or people from the past. Because if you honor people who are success, you're going to honor the successful part of yourself. If you condemn everybody that's successful and make them wrong to make yourself feel better, you'll never break out of your shell. But your success is not going to be somebody else's. You know, you have to find your success. Your success may be to be happily married and a good parent. And if you accomplish that, guess what? You've accomplished more than a huge percentage of the world. And you're making a difference that will last through the ages. You are an important person. You are magical. All right, let me see if I can get Ernie and Janet on there. Oops, I don't know. I'm not seeing them on here yet. Guess on Zoom. Okay. Well, hopefully they'll be on here in a second. So wherever you are, my friends, I invite you tonight to open yourself to the magic and wonder of this life. Dare to trust that there's an infinite love, an infinite presence of God that is great enough to know what your needs are, to help you find what you need, to become a fully awakened, a fully inspired, a fully creative human being. It doesn't mean you're going to be famous. It doesn't mean you're going to be rich. I mean, who knows what rich even is? Most of us are much more affluent than most of the people in the world, and yet most of us don't think of ourselves that way. But it's actually true. So, wherever you are, my friends, open yourself tonight to magic and wonder and joy. Tonight, wherever you are, open yourself to magic. Let's a second here. Just double checking something here on my phone. We're going to come back on the radio in just a second. I don't know what happened here. Good evening. This is Robert Sidell. Welcome you back to the Gateway Show. Having a great time tonight. A real pleasure to be with you here. And honestly, reminding myself of what I need to remember. Because that's just kind of how life works. If you and I want to have some magic and wonder in our lives, we just got to start saying yes to life. We got to start having magic and wonder in our lives. And we got to just know that good things are coming. Hold on one second here. Just 1 second. I got to, for some reason, I'm not seeing. Ernie, I'm not seeing you. Are you on? Did you come on yet? What's going on here? I got to see something here. Hold on a second. Hold on, my friends. This will take 1 second. So, my friends, let's remember to open ourselves to magic and wonder right now. Hold on 1 second. So, my friends, sorry about that. I was just double checking because for some reason, I'm not getting Ernie or Janet, and I'm suspecting I'm doing something wrong. So my son's coming into the room to figure it out. Help me figure it out, I should say. But wherever you are, whatever's going on in your life, hey, Linda, it's nice to see you. Nice to see you. So Ernie and Janet, I don't know what happened to you guys. Hold on. Have any idea at all? Can you check and see? Brian's going to check. Hold on a second here.
They're not in the meeting.
Oh.
You forgot to turn off the waiting
Oh,
room.
okay. That's the problem. Hey, Ernie, how you doing? Can you hear me, Ernie?
Oh, hi, Robert. Yes,
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Brian, for checking this.
I can hear you. Yeah, I
Okay,
had
let
some
me put it back.
difficult time getting on it. Yeah.
Okay, you just get on. Okay, great. All right, my friend. Oh, Janet's there too. Let's see how we're gonna get her on there. Okay,
Yeah.
hi, Hey, Janet, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Great. Well, I've been having a fun time tonight, and by the way, I know both of you have the same philosophy. The message, I don't know if you heard me talking, but is say yes, reach out in love, as much as you humanly can. People are waiting for you, and I know both of you have that same philosophy. That's kind of how are you still teaching at school some of the time, Ernie?
Yeah. Well, the school already started back on August 7th. Yes.
So you probably
I'm in the high schools.
You're in the high schools?
Yes.
That's great. Here you are. You're 78 years old and you're doing that. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, yes. I look forward to it. Yes.
Well, that's because you're bringing love and joy to it.
Yes. I love it. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the secret. All right, my friend, share your prayer with us tonight, okay?
All right. So thank you, Robert. Okay. The topic of the prayer is don't wait. Live your dream now. Dear Lord, we thank you for this blessed day, and we show our gratitude for blessing us with creativity and talents to live fully according to your plan in our journey. Lord, grant us to be aware and recognize to live our dreams now and live in the present moment for us to be happy, joyful, forgiving, loving, kindness, and compassionate, and to share those attributes with others who may be facing challenges in their daily life. We pray we stay focused in our thoughts and to take positive actions to fulfill living our dreams now with God's grace that surrounds us, creating heaven and earth, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Ernie. You always do such a beautiful job of these prayers. I just love it. It's fantastic. You make a difference. You make a difference.
Thank you.
All right. Reverend Janet, what do you have to share with us tonight?
Well, I'm just going to read something that
Okay.
I got today, and it's based on your topic. So
Okay.
here we go. Live your dream now in the fullness of this very moment, infused with the transformative power of love and a profound spiritual connection. Life is a divine gift, and your dreams are a manifestation of the love God has for you. They should not remain distant stars. They should be the guiding light that aligns your path with love and purpose. It's common to wait for what seems like the perfect time or circumstances. But remember that God's timing is perfect and love is the driving force behind his plan. The journey towards your dream begins with the faith and conviction to take the first step, fueled by love for yourself, for others, and for the divine. In the midst of life's chaos and unpredictability, find solace in the boundless love that surrounds you. Let your dream be a reflection of the love you have for your own potential and the love you wish to share with the world. Let your actions be a testament to your faith in God's guidance and your commitment to spreading love. So don't hesitate, embrace the uncertainty, and let your dream be a spiritual and loving journey that deepens your connection with the divine. Take that step, make the decision, and watch as your life transforms into a sacred path of fulfillment, purpose, and love. Your dream is a reflection of God's love for you. Amen.
Janet, I love it. And I just want to say, see, there you are. Embrace, here you go. Here's the message for every one of us, including me. Embrace the uncertainty. And it's when we can't face uncertainty, if we get too caught up with its certainty, guess what? We won't accomplish anything. But if you start reaching out in love and making your life magical, oh, here, James Reese says, miss you, Miss Janet. Thank you so much. And by the way, he also said earlier, thank you, beautiful Reverend Ernie. So people appreciate what both of you do all the time. So yeah, I mean, if we can't face uncertainty, we're never going to discover the magic of this life. We got to choose to say, hey, this is a wild, sometimes crazy world. There's things that happen I don't agree with. Some things I may not agree with at all. But guess what? I'm not going to give up my faith in God. And that's what I want to say to each of you out there. Don't give up your faith in God. Don't give up your faith in life. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. Open your heart to goodness, to God's grace, and infinite love will come to you now throughout your life. And Linda Baker says, beautiful prayer, Janet. So I'm just reading to you what they said. So my friends, we're almost out of time. For all of you out there, may God bless you and lift you up. May you be protected from your mistakes and learn to grow in your strengths. And remember, God is real, and for that reason, miracles are real, and the best is yet to come. So all of you out there, go out and expect miracles, share some love, take advantage of the opportunities of your life, and you know what? Magic and wonder will start to fill your life. Here we go. She's putting on the music. God bless you all. Take care of yourself until next week. This is Robert Sidell. Blessings to all of you.
Have a great rest of your week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thanks to both of you very much. Appreciate it.
All right.
So
Bye-bye.
God bless you all on Facebook. And remember, you can also look me up on YouTube. Just look up Sidell Gateway Podcast. And you can find me on YouTube. And there's a channel there, and you can listen to anything on there. God bless you all. Until next week, this is Robert Sidell.